Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the power of etiquette and manners. Today, we're talking about afternoon tea in London, tradition, elegance, and delight. Before we begin the show, for those of you who are not aware, we have a special initiative going on, and we're asking all of you to get involved. We are growing our YouTube community to 100,000 subscribers on both of our channels. We started at USA Global TV and Radio at 37,895, and we're now at 37,989, so almost picking up 100. So we would love to have you join us. We also have a members-only VIP community, which you'll find now when you go to any of our YouTube videos, you'll see the option to join. So we hope that you will join us. Now for today's show, we're going over to our London bureau and to the star and founder of this particular program, Mr. Philip SYKES and the British School of Excellence. Philip, we're coming to you now.
It was really neat.
And here we are. Hello, hello. We're waiting for Philip. He's involved in the afternoon tea, so we'll just wait a moment for him to get here. So for those of you who are not aware of afternoon tea or any of the things that come along with it, you can learn more all about etiquette and manners by going to the British School of Excellence.com, where not only will you learn how to be a polished professional, do you have the opportunity to take part if train the trainer, but you can also learn all there is to know about afternoon tea. And as I've learned in the past, there's a big difference between afternoon tea and high tea. And we actually had an expert come from one of the tea companies and give an entire overview about the history of tea and also the history of afternoon tea, which is really interesting. So for any of you who are out there watching, whether you're on our social media platforms or Roku or Amazon Fire, what is your experience with afternoon tea? Is it something that you enjoy, that you make it a point to have every day? We're going to go over to Philip right now. And here he is. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn.
Hi, it's nice to see you. You're in the World RIT, your London office?
We are actually at my home, and I have a guest who has joined us all the way from London. We've got Leanne, who's on Zoom at the moment, and we are going to be experiencing English afternoon tea. So you're very welcome to mute me, or not mute me, but I can talk. And then if you want to interrupt me at any point in time, just do so. And hopefully we'll get people out there engaging and enjoying this sort of fine art display of having English afternoon tea.
Fantastic. Well, you have a beautiful home there. Very nice. And Philip, if you could just fill our audience in, what is the origin of afternoon tea and what's the difference between afternoon tea and high tea?
All right. That's absolutely wonderful. I love that question. And for the benefit of Sonia, I'm going to, can you hear me from there?
The cream first, because I like the layer.
Yes, we can hear you.
To kind of see through the jam, through the cream, but I heard there's a debate.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn this down here for a second, and then you can hear me properly. Right, so Dr. Jacalyn, we are sitting down to a wonderful experience of English afternoon tea. A guest has come in here all the way from London, and we were having a few more guests joining us, but two people have so-called called in sick. And we've got a few people joining us on Zoom. My colleague Leanne is talking them through a slideshow at the moment. And for those viewers out there, this is a quintessential, amazing experience, which really was discovered in the 1800s by the Duchess of Bedford. Okay, so she was the lady in waiting to Her Majesty the Queen Victoria at the time, and she had the sinking feeling at around 4 o'clock. And this is where she asked her staff member to go and prepare something to snack on between lunch and her dinner. And the staff member brought in some, I would imagine back in those days, some bread and butter and maybe a couple of sweet sort of puddings and that sort of thing. And she snacks on those. And she really thought that this was an amazing opportunity to introduce to her friends. Now, bearing in mind 1800s, introducing something to your friends might have gone down not as well as one might think. And so, as this started, she took a plunge, jumped out the aircraft, so to speak, and built the parachute on the way down. And we then are introduced to the homesteads of people's homes where they started having this afternoon tea experience and inviting people around. And it took off like wildfire. It became so popular and so fashionable. And tea has had an amazing introduction and into history, because tea really has led the way for fashion change. You can imagine ladies back in the day were tucked into their corsets, and now they needed a bit more room to appreciate this wonderful display of food. And tea also had a huge influence on taxes back in the day in the 1600s. It affected the taxes in this country because tea smugglers arrived and started smuggling tea into the United Kingdom because the tax on tea was so high, and only the very wealthy people could afford to buy tea. So that's a sort of an introduction and a journey, Dr. Jacalyn. I can't hear you. Are you on?
Yes, thank you, Phil. That was really fascinating. A question that I have for you in reference to tea in general, there's loose tea, there's tea in bags. Is there a difference, and when would you use either one?
So you're talking about loose tea and tea bags?
Yes, some people purchase tea bags, other people purchase loose tea.
Well, it's a good question. So what I've done for Anne Sonia is I've actually prepared a really wonderful pot of baby dried roses, which we call it a tea, and it's actually an infusion rather than an actual tea, because as we've been told by a wonderful sort of tea sommelier from Twinings a year or so ago, this is not actually a tea, it's more an infusion. But that is a beautiful, and if you just smell that by pinching the saucer, you can pinch the saucer just like that. You can actually bring the cup, because we're sitting, you can actually bring the cup to you and just smell that tea, the aroma. And I think we're going to, what do you think of that? I'm going to unmute myself and Leanne.
Hello.
Okay. All right. So Dr. Jacalyn, I'm going to get something for you.
So while Philip is off screen for the moment,
there we go.
He's back.
So
see what you have.
Basically, what we've got, and I'm going to be sharing this, is you've got this famous brand, which is the Fortnum & Mason brand, which is a beautiful set up in the 1700s. And they were really well known for their tea and import of tea, and as well as the export. They used to export tea to the United Kingdom, to the United States of America. Some of you may have heard of the Boston Tea Party. Have you heard of the Boston Tea Party? Speak up for me.
Don't know much about
Okay, so the Boston Tea Party was very much about the Americans actually got fed up with the British people ruling them. And so in protest, they threw tea chests overboard in Boston Harbor. And that's where the Boston Tea Party originated from. So they believe that some of the Fortnum and Mason sits down under the ocean there still to this day, that was thrown off the ship. And we've had a past student who's based out of Holland, and she has created some beautiful loose teas for us, which one of them is the rose infusion that she created for us. And so we've got some wonderful blended teas here, and I just wish our viewers could engage, and I'll let you have a nice smell of these, because they really are absolutely. You've got a chamomile in here. You've got rooibos, which is a red bush tea from South Africa, which is absolutely beautiful. And you've got a little bit of peppermint and vanilla in this particular tea. So take that and have a smell of that. And then we go into the beautiful tea here, where we've got a bit of hibiscus, rosehip, some really spicy nose on this loose tea, and it really is quite an extraordinary sort of blend of teas. Now you get the black teas, you get the white teas, and the tea bag version is actually, as long as it's good quality tea, the tea bag will have no effects on the flavor. And sometimes for people, tea bags are easier. You can just throw it in a pot or throw it in a mug, as we do here. We call it a builder's cup of tea. And you can also have loose tea. And loose tea is something that we grew up with in the afternoons. They always heated the teapot first, and then you would always add the amount of teaspoonfuls of tea leaves, and then one for the pot. So there were 4 people having tea. You would add 4 teaspoons of the loose tea and a 5th teaspoon for the teapot.
Thank you, Philip. What about decaffeinated tea versus caffeine-free tea versus tea with caffeine?
Now you've thrown me a curveball, Dr. Jacalyn. I've never gone down the decaf route, and it's not something that I'm overly familiar with, to be quite frank, apart from the caffeine has been extrapolated from the tea as it is from coffee. And that is where people who feel that the caffeine affects maybe their mood, their sleep patterns, then they will tend to go down teas that don't have a caffeine content in the actual tea.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people. So I don't drink caffeine. I think it's been 6 years or 7 years since I've had caffeine. But I was wondering if the caffeine-free tea is not as strong or doesn't taste as good, I guess, as tea with caffeine.
Again, we should have a tea tasting when I next see you, Dr. Jack, and we'll do a blind tasting. How about that? We'll get the decaffeinated tea, we'll get the tea. You won't know which one is which, and you can ponder over it. I think what's really important to understand here is just have you tasted that rose? Have a taste and tell me what you think. It just depends how long the leaves are steeping for in the pot. And it can be too strong, then it's going to have the tannins. And I don't believe that. What do you think? Yeah, delicious. I don't think that by taking the caffeine out is going to have any effect on the amount of tannin that tea would start to show if it's been, the leaves have been sitting too long in the teapot. So this is something to bear in mind. Anyone who appreciates tea really needs to understand that there's a certain amount of time that you can let your tea, what we call draw for, before it starts to become very tannic. So if anyone out there is sort of drunk a red wine before and they feel that chalkiness in their mouths, that is what I'm talking about. And you can get tea that becomes quite bitter because it's been sitting and steeping for too long within the teapot.
And tea has been known to help people medicinally also. Is that correct?
Absolutely. There are many teas out there that one could look at. I mean, chamomile is one that springs to mind. You're talking the verbenas. I would imagine, I don't know if this particular beautiful rose tea has any medicinal sort of effects, but it's definitely would you say it's soothing and flavorsome and very scented? So that could also, through the scent, and that could also, I think, with a nice piece of music and a beautiful day, could actually affect your mood. Yeah, I think that's really true. And yeah, there's so many wonderful so-called infusions and teas out there that absolutely help one's health.
And what do you think about the combining of tea with alcohol? Have
Now,
you heard of?
Are you talking about a G&T, Dr. Jacalyn, or you?
No, I'm talking about in college. It used to be called an ice pick, where you would have vodka and iced tea.
Well, I think that could be quite a unique combination. I would imagine a nice iced tea as a mixer. I know for a fact that cocktail experts have created beautiful cocktails with the tea being the influence of the actual cocktail. So yeah, it's very popular, and especially now with the warmer climate in certain countries, an iced tea. I've never had it with alcohol, but it's something that I will have to now put on my list of things to try, Dr. Jacalyn.
So when you think about the history of tea and the fact that, especially in the UK, people are drawn together to break bread, so to speak, but it wouldn't be bread necessarily, but over tea. That's a reason for socialization.
Very much so. So just here with Anne Sonia and myself, we've got an amazing array of some beautiful scones on this particular scenario over here. So we have the scones, and they are very much at the top of this tier, and we've got some beautiful sandwiches which will complement the tea. And it is very much a moment of bringing people together and giving people this opportunity to sit and relax and connect and engage. And then today I've used a separate plate, a beautiful heart-shaped plate over here, where we've got an amazing array of sweet dishes, which your Claire's. We've got a beautiful raspberry, sort of gorgeous raspberry tart here. We have a banana bread with a strawberry glaze on it. We have an amazing deep dark chocolate mousse and a cinnamon bun and some macarons, which are very much part of the whole sort of experience, the afternoon tea experience. So this is something that we will absolutely be enjoying. Now, like bread, we are... Hello, ladies. Dr. Jacalyn, I'm just welcoming some guests in. There we are. Maggie, are you there? We're welcoming some guests into our afternoon tea from around the world. Can you hear me, Leanne? I can't hear you. Talk up.
We can hear you beautifully.
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. Hello, ladies. Dr. Jacalyn, this is Anne Sonia. We've got Anne Sonia coming in all the way from London. She was slightly delayed on the train, and over here I've got Zaina, who's based in the United Arab Emirates, and Maggie, where are you based?
I'm in Atlanta.
You're in
US.
Atlanta, Dr. Jacalyn, Atlanta, USA. So we've got Atlanta, USA, we've got the Middle East, and we've got Leanne all the way from Poland, and a representative from all the way from London.
Fantastic. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Dr. Jacalyn's in the background, Leanne.
Hi, Leanne. Philip, another question that I have for you. You had on one of your Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire episodes, you had an expert from Twinings. Can you share any of the key takeaways from that interaction with him?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Leanne.
Liam from Twinings is the tea master and delivers the most incredible master classes on site. We do a tea tasting, there's a tea man for all various teas. And we were talking to the ladies earlier on about the temperature of the boiling water. It should never be 100 degrees for all of the teas. They've got different structures, they're different ages, and so on. And you can actually denature the tea if the water's just boiling. And then a little bit earlier, we were having a little debate about whether to pour the tea first or the milk first. And of course, the ladies were discussing this for various reasons. And at the end of the day, it absolutely makes no difference. Whether it's milk first or tea first is completely immaterial. It's how you enjoy it. That it actually originated way back in the days when people had very fine, delicate china. So if you poured hot water into the china, it would craze and crack. So they would put the milk in to take off some of that heat. And yeah, but, generally we prefer to have the tea first and top up with milk so that you can adjust the strength of the tea. The other thing we were talking about was the cream debate, cream first or jam first. And that too, doesn't matter. There are no set rules. If it's beautiful clotted cream, you're going to slather it onto the scone. Jam afterwards. Some parts of the UK prefer to have jam first and the cream on top, and that's a whole debate in itself. But it's how you like it. And the same for the types of food that you're serving. You can do your little sandwiches, you can put scones on there, you can have different types of scones. I was just showing earlier on. I'm an afternoon tea addict. So I collect afternoon tea books of a whole pile. And the one has got 50 delicious recipes for scones. So they can be sweet, they can be savory, they can be fruit. I've seen chocolate ones. Be creative, have fun. So I think those are just some of the little stories and anecdotes. And then of course there's also the pinky up story. Not a good idea for a number of reasons. Rather keep that pinky tucked in very neatly and nicely. So yeah, those are just a few things that we can share. Ladies,
Thank you, Leanne. I have a follow-up question in reference to how to dress for an afternoon tea. Is there a certain protocol, Philip and Leanne?
I would say as you like it. If you want it to be a special occasion, we dress up and go all out so that we look lovely, we feel lovely. People that come and join us will feel special. And if you go for afternoon tea at the Ritz in London, there's a dress code. So no jeans, open shoes, inappropriate wear. You really need to dress for the occasion. And I think that makes it special. So as you like it.
I think just to add to that, Dr. Jacalyn, is on point what Leanne is sharing, is that it's a special thing to do. It's not something, unless you yearn for your English afternoon tea set up every day of the week, you might need a wheelbarrow to carry around it sort of a few weeks down the line. But it's a special occasion. It's a time where people connect. There are no phones. You just the pictures you're taking phones are now our cameras, but it's a time to really decompress, to be very, what I call grounded, and centered, and spending time having good chit chat, and just really, I think, appreciating how wonderfully spoiled we are, and the gratitude behind this is so special.
I love that you shared it's not something that we're going to be doing every single day, because obviously there's calories in some of those beautiful items that you have there, correct?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine having clotted cream, lashings of it every other day?
Well, you see, ladies, this is what I love about clotted cream. Firstly, it is so thick. It really, it's not coming out there. And the scone was only really invented to transport the cream to your mouth. That's my verdict, and that's my take on it, because this is devilishly good. Clotted cream is world famous and world class, and yeah, I think you being clotted cream, it might clot up a few arteries as well.
Now, is that the same type of cream or similar to what you would find in a delicious cream donut?
No, very different. No. This is, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm going to, when I come over and visit you in the USA, I'm bringing clotted cream for you. This is very different. This is 54% fat. And you can make it, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can make it in the sense, it's a long process. You put it in a bain-marie in your oven. Don't quote me on the temperature. It's around 25 or 30 degrees. You put cream in there, and overnight you will be able to create and make your own clotted cream. But it's far easier, as we have here in the United Kingdom, the very well equipped supermarkets. And I do believe you can get clotted cream in the USA. But special sort of very deluxe stores. I'm not sure, Dana, if you get it out in Saudi Arabia or in the USA, Maggie, where you are. But I know, Leanne, I don't think you get it out in Poland, do you?
No, I actually haven't seen it.
In the Middle East, we have it in Waitrose.
Oh, wow, wonderful. And we buy it in supermarket, unfortunately, but this is what we have.
Yeah.
Now, are you saying clotted cream? How are you pronouncing that?
Clotted. CLOTTED. Clotted cream.
Clotted. Okay, I wasn't sure because I didn't think you were talking about cottage cheese, but I hadn't heard of clotted.
Clotted cream. I think it's got a double innuendo.
Okay, so now the next question I have for you is you're seated in a lovely area there, and it's different than being sat at a formal table. So what is the protocol and the etiquette and manners for reaching over to get something to eat and about the napkin? How does that all work when you're seated as you are?
A wonderful question. Back in the day, which Leanne I know has shared with Maggie and Zaina, back in the day, this was actually known as low tea, where people sat in low chairs with a beautiful low table in front of them. And it only, people get confused. They think this could be called high tea. And now, I don't know if that's because of the high tiers that people use, but the high tea really alluded to people sitting high up at a dining room table when they came back from the factory and working. So this is not known as high tea. High tea was sitting at a high table with a substantial meal. And this is really the true form of really embracing a nice English afternoon tea. Having said that, the world over now, they're using high tables. The Ritz and other hotels, they choose to use low chairs and low tables. Now, your question, Dr. Jacalyn, is this is an opportunity to offer. So like I did earlier with Antonia, is I'm offered, lifted up the tier, and I'd love you to have another sandwich. And you offer and you pass things around the ottoman or your low table, and it's very much looking at people's body language. And again, I think this is where your etiquette and manners really kick in, and it's your thoughtfulness, it's your kindness, it's your looking at and communicating with people to see if they can, if one can get them something, and that's really what's important. So watching someone's teacup starting to diminish, offering them to top their tea up, or if champagne's involved, then offering to top the champagne flute up. So it's about being thoughtful and kind.
Thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. Another question I have, because this comes up frequently when you're visiting someone's home, shoes or no shoes? And what if you have a no shoe policy in your home, but your guests are not a fan of it?
Well, then don't invite them. Dr. Jacalyn, we don't invite them.
Okay. So I thank you. I think my question is there a policy when it comes to shoes on or off in the house?
Sorry, say that one more time, Dr. Jacalyn.
Is there a policy when it comes to etiquette and manners about wearing shoes in your home?
That's a great question. And I insist in this sort of situation because we're very fortunate. We've got a lovely tiled area here in our home. And it's something that I'm very comfortable with. But I would absolutely answer that question. If we had carpets, then I would offer some clean slippers to my guests. And that's really the right thing to do.
So carpeting versus tile or some other type of flooring, that's the difference as to whether or not shoes or no shoes.
Absolutely. I think cleaning tiles and being able to wipe over them is so much easier than dealing with carpets, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, what about how you are seated? So is there a seating arrangement, or do you just have people come in and have a seat, sit wherever you like?
You can, I think, I'm going to answer that in two ways. Is that depending if the two of us, I offered Antonia where she'd like to sit. I thought that'd be a nice and appropriate because it gives her the view of everything. She can see the garden. She can look into that sort of thing. If you were having an afternoon tea get together for 4 or 6 people, then I think the seating arrangement should be thought through. It might be you want to introduce someone to someone else. There might be an opportunity for people to get to know another person they've heard about or only met once before. So I like a dinner party or a luncheon. Definitely give it some thought of how we should seat people and where we would like people to be, sort of, how we would like them to connect and engage with one another. And then during the ceremony, the tea ceremony or the afternoon tea, you can move people around and get people to mingle and that sort of thing.
Very nice. And is there a certain amount of time that's allocated for a tea, or is it just, hey, stay as long as you'd like? You can run into dinner if you want.
Again, this type of afternoon tea, you've got to give it at least an hour and a half. Sometimes they can go into a couple of hours, depending on one's availability and flexibility on time. What happens here in the UK quite a lot is people will book an afternoon tea for about 3:30, 4 o'clock and have a long afternoon tea and then go off to the theatre or the cinema. And that's a lovely thing to do.
I love that. And when you're having afternoon tea also, do you provide some entertainment? Is there, I hear you have some light music playing in the background, but is it mostly focused on the conversation?
I think that's a beautiful question, and I would love Leanne to answer that.
I can see that coming. I think it's the most incredible opportunity to bring some musicians, singers, instrumentalists in, just slowly, because everybody's sitting and having this lovely tea. It's the ideal opportunity. And if you ever go to the Ritz in London, they always have piano and cello, or flute and piano, and so on. It's so elegant. It's so absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't have to be strictly instrumental. It could be dancing. It could be maybe reading poetry, or see a book review. So there's many different ways that you could use this opportunity for social purposes. I think it's absolutely lovely. The sky's the limit in terms of your creativity.
Thank you so much, Leanne. And I guess another question that comes up, is there a perfect number in terms of how many people should be invited, or is it really determined by your space?
I think it depends on the space. In some of the larger venues, they've got round tables of 12 seaters. They're huge. Kensington Palace has a huge tea room as well. I would say a small group of people, it's not really limited, and you could have two. You could have tea for two, you could have tea for three. I think it's pretty much free form.
And I think, Dr. Jacalyn, where it's lovely is a lot of people now look to this beautiful celebration for weddings. And I've been to a couple of weddings where afternoon tea has been the main sort of part of the event, and champagne and that sort of thing. It's another wonderful thing to do when people who are going to give birth, women who are going to give birth, have a baby shower around the English afternoon tea experience. So there's so many wonderful ways of embracing this wonderful, long-standing cultural event that is so part of English heritage and influence.
Such a fascinating topic. I really appreciate it. So what about for any of the wonderful people who are there on Zoom? Any questions or comments they might have in reference to afternoon tea, tradition, elegance?
Any questions on this? Don't put your mouth on. Zaina, any questions?
My concern, I'll tell you. My concern is how to set the table. Where to put the teacups, where to put the dessert plate, which plate to use, which cutlery, this is my concern, and how to prepare the tea, because preparing the tea is an art by itself.
Great question.
So this is my concern. Socially, to respond to you, we're not seeing you on screen, but socially, I think I do understand very well how to do things, how to invite, how to gather, but the setting, the formal setting, is the most important for me.
Wonderful question.
And I think we're getting there.
Wonderful question. And I will send you a little introduction, Zaina, and to all of you on because there's no, with all due respect, we're sitting here, it's formal, but also informal. The side plate goes in front of you. You can have a lovely little cake fork, which actually wasn't the tradition back in the day. They always picked things up with their fingers. Your napkin can either be laid on your side plate when you arrive in front of you, or it can be on the left of the side plate. Your teacup to the right-hand side, with the tea handle on the right-hand side, with the teaspoon above the teacup. Now, obviously, if you know your guests very well and they're left-handed, then you would place the teacup on the left-hand side and have the handle facing to the left-hand side. And this is what, for me, I think the attention to detail is something that a lot of organizations could really pick up on. How many times do you go to have a cup of tea or even have an English afternoon tea experience, and the teacup gets put down in front of you with the handle facing, at the 10 o'clock position, and meanwhile it should be at the 3 o'clock position. And it's just those little bits of detail. The teapot is put down on the table with the tea handle facing at 12 o'clock, so it means you've got to stretch. Just these little bits of coordination. And Zaina, with this particular setup, it can be very relaxed as far as placing your food in different places. You don't have to have the tier. You can have individual plates. You can have a little sideboard where you can have different cakes that you've baked. A Battenberg cake, a beautiful, gorgeous, the English lemon, the sponge cakes. You can really serve what you want for the English afternoon tea nowadays. And it's a really wonderful thing for chefs to be able to express their signature dishes. And so don't overthink the formality. Apart from the setting itself would really follow something quite similar to your dining setting, where the side plate goes in front of you and a fork on the right-hand side. You might want a teaspoon there as well, the napkin. And that's really where I would position things, with a teacup just above on the right-hand side, above the utensils, and a champagne flute would be sitting just above the teacup. And then the rest, you can decorate your table accordingly.
Okay, it's clear. I mean, there is nothing called a rule, but the simple rules of the table: plate, at the right you put the teacup, the champagne, and that's it.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%.
Okay. And how do you do the tea? This is now my question.
Okay.
I mean, this is very, very tricky, because, I tried to do 5 o'clock teas, afternoon teas in my place, and the maids could not come up with the right formula. Either the tea is too black, or it's too bitter, or so this is the trick.
Okay. Firstly, I'm going to ask everyone out there listening to this, we have an amazing interview with Liam from Twinings on Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire on our USA Global TV platform, which is Dr. Jacalyn's organization. We have the Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire with Liam there for an hour, where we worked with him live in his studio, and he covers this exact topic. He talks about temperatures. He talks about the amount of teaspoons of tea leaves that you would put in there. Going back to that wonderful question. So Zaina, if we had the privilege all to be together, and let's say we all decided to go for a nice blend of English breakfast tea, I would obviously have a decent sized teapot. I would heat the teapot up first with some boiling water and let it just sit for a little bit. Then what I would do is empty that out, pour some more boiling water in there, and let the boiling water sit there for about 2 minutes. Then add, let's say, if there are 3 of us having afternoon tea, I would put 3 teaspoons of the English breakfast and an extra teaspoon for the pot. And then the pot would be quite full. You'd bring the pot up to almost 3/4 full. And then you can let it sit for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. And then you can pour, give it 2 minutes and pour, and see how that first cup of tea is looking. And if it comes out fairly weak looking, then maybe give it another minute or so. And then some organizations actually have the tea strainer sitting in the pot, and they remove the tea leaves after it's been steeping for 3 minutes. So that is something I can share with you in more detail at some point.
Okay, I see. But then again, when you pour the tea, let's say you have a silver teapot. You don't have a teapot where it can sit on a heater.
That's
so
right.
I'm going to show you, for example, this one. This.
Let me have a look.
It's a silver.
Yes.
Teapot. I can never put it on a heater.
No. So what you could do...
So what do you do? I mean, this is, and when you have many people, let's say you have 4 or 5 persons, you have to run after pouring. You have to run and add again. You see, this is the complication.
All right. So what you can do is you can get a beautiful tea cozy that can go over that teapot, which is insulated. So it almost looks like a beanie for a teapot.
Yeah, I know it.
The beanie for a teapot. The other thing is you can always have an extra pot, an extra tea pot of just boiling water. So once you've poured the first round of tea for everyone, then I would add some extra boiling water to that pot of tea. So in other words, it'll bring up the tea, the strength of the tea. In other words, the strength of the tea will not bring out the tannins. So what you're doing is you're getting almost double cups of tea out that same teapot.
But then you never boil the tea on the fire?
No.
Never.
No. In certain cultures,
it's always outside, as you said, 2-3 minutes, and then you serve the tea.
Absolutely.
I see. Okay. This is the trick, because this is why I always find it better.
Yeah. So it's about the amount of time, and I will share some further information with you.
And all kind of teas. I mean, not only the English breakfast.
They're all different, Dana. The teas are very different, and this is exactly what Liam from Twinings explains in that interview we had with him.
I see.
Philip?
Okay, so let's choose always English breakfast. So now that we know how to do it.
But there are some wonderful ways to do other teas.
Okay. Well, these are my questions. I don't know, Margaret, if she has questions.
I did. I was putting a few of them in the chat, but I'll just share with you all. I think the doctor had asked about our tea experiences. One of the things that I absolutely love is, I know, Leanne, you mentioned it can be regional. Tea can also be seasonal. And I like to experience different teas when I travel. If I find a nice hotel in the area, at Christmas time here in the Atlanta area, not the Ritz-Carlton. There's another very nice hotel. It'll come to me. They have like a tea with Santa. And I know it's just kind of holiday, but they'll do like cranberry scones, or they'll have different flavors that will change throughout the year. We are in the peach state here, so we'll have peach flavor desserts. So I love how you can customize it for your area. It's really fun for me in the fast-paced world that we live in. It's a nice reminder to slow down and sit down and enjoy, because you can't drink tea really fast because it's nice and hot. And I've taken etiquette classes, and I also host a finishing school, and I took some of the ladies to Neiman Marcus has afternoon tea, and I hosted them there. I can share some pictures if you like, but it was just lovely. It's a nice reminder for me to remain elegant in a very fast-paced world.
I love it. Thanks for sharing that, Margaret. That's beautiful. And I think it's such a wonderful way you put that.
Brilliant. Philip and everybody there, we're going to share the screen so you can see the Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. You can go over to our YouTube channel. And this is it right here. Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire, From Leaf to Teacup, A Journey Through Tea with Twinings. So please go ahead and to our YouTube channel and just go to the playlist and look for Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire.
Yeah, so there it is there, ladies. The Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire. We'll get that across to you. It's a wonderful episode. And that's Dr. Jacalyn dialing in from the USA. Are you in Florida, Dr. Jacalyn?
No, I'm in New Jersey.
In New Jersey. Okay.
New Jersey. And I also just want to mention to our viewers that this is what I mentioned at the beginning of the show. See here, there's now a join button, and we have an exclusive VIP membership opportunity for people to get firsthand news about the British royal family and all things British. So that's where you would click right there to join our exclusive group. All right. We are going to sign off now here at USA Global TV and Radio. Philip, I know you're going to continue on with your afternoon tea. So we want to thank everyone for joining. And Philip, if you'd like to just share whatever you'd like to say as we close out. And Leanne, thank you so much for your contributions.
What a lovely, pleasant surprise. It's been wonderful to have you here.
Well, firstly, I'm, straight from an open book, I'd love off the back of our get-together today to get everyone's input and feedback, that's for sure, because like everything, you've got to try things out for the first time. We've never done this style of English afternoon tea with guests coming in on Zoom and a guest, and there were meant to be 2 other guests joining us. We would love people's input and feedback, and if we can do things differently or better, or if you felt very involved and part of this, again, that would be nice to hear. But from here at the British School of Excellence, we love what we do. We're passionate about working with people all over the world and giving people these wonderful tools to elevate themselves, to embrace life, and to be able to really walk through life with great confidence and walking tall with amazing kindness and energy and going out there and trying to make this world a better place. So look at the website for the viewers out there on USA Global TV, www.thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. And we love engaging on WhatsApp as well as hello at the British School of Excellence. And until next time, Dr. Jacalyn, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you as well. You're a little further along in your day, 5 hours, but we wish you all the best. And thank you again for sharing your home with us and sharing this beautiful experience about afternoon tea in London, tradition, elegance, and delight.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, whether you're on the live or the replay. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we continue to grow. We continue to expand. It brings true joy to my heart. We ask that you go over to our YouTube channels and subscribe. We actually have 2 YouTube channels that have been running the entire time. So all of our shows are streaming live right now on 2 YouTube channels. So if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the one channel, USA Global TV. And we started at 37,895 subscribers. And as of today, it's actually gone up since we started the show. So now I think it's 37,990. Help us get to 100,000 so that the people who are taking their time to provide world-class education can be found by as many people, helping as many people as possible across the world. Our other YouTube channel is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. That's my name, and you can go and subscribe there as well. We also have opportunities for people to join us by showcasing your talent, having your own TV show with us. Just email us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Well, that concludes this particular show for today. We'll be coming right back with our next show. Until then, let's hear a little bit more from Philip, and then we'll close out. Here's about the polished professional. USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip SYKES and the British School of Excellence. Building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the polished professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the Secrets of Visual Impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance and Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.